Welcome back to Baking with the Lion. In this video, I'm going to give you a recipe for a very delicious bulla cake. Now, this is very nostalgic for people who grew up in the Caribbean, who grew up eating this all the time. Now, I can promise you it's going to be so good. It's going to remind you of those good old days with just pure flavor and spices. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is prepare our dry ingredients. We're going to take 4 cups of plain flour and we're going to sieve that because we don't want any lumps. Then next we're going to finely chop 1 stick of butter and coat it into the flour, then gently pressing the butter between our fingers, creating a breadcrumb consistency. And this is just to ensure that the bulla becomes very soft and not dry after baking. So at this point you can see your hand them are going to be very messy with this recipe. So make sure your hand them well clean from the beginning. You see me? And to that we're going to add 1 teaspoon nutmeg, cinnamon and allspice. Then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt as well as 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And to that we're going to add 1.5 cup of brown soft sugar. And then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of ginger finely grated. Then we're just going to go ahead and incorporate all of that together and just make sure that I get everything in it. So when you bite into the bulla, you have all the flavor and the spices in each and every bite. Now on to the wet ingredients. So I have a 1.5 cups of cold water. To that I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of vanilla. I use both the paste and the essence. Then we're also going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of molasses, and this is going to help with the color which we're trying to achieve for the bulla, as well as that extra flavor from the molasses. It's going to really set it off, you know. So we're going to go ahead and mix this together and make sure everything is well incorporated and there's nothing sticking to the bottom of the measuring cup. Now after adding your wet ingredient to your dry ingredient, little by little, you want your dough to look something like this. Now you're probably not going to need all of the wet ingredients, so you do it a stage at a time and dough over pour. So next up you're going to go ahead and flour your surface. Make sure you add enough flour because you're going to need a lot. And scrape the dough out on top of it, and then you're going to go ahead and sprinkle some more flour on top of the dough, and you're going to massage it in. So while you're kneading the flour and you realize that it's sticking to your surface, that does mean that you need more flour. So don't be afraid to add more if you need it. So we can see here we're lifting it off of the surface and nothing's sticking, so that's a good sign that the dough is ready. Alright, so at this stage we're going to go ahead and put the dough into a container. We're going to go ahead and cling wrap it. If you don't have cling wrap, you can also use a wet paper towel. And then we're going to go ahead and just put this aside for around 45 minutes. So the gluten can do what it does best. Now we're going to go ahead and flour our surface again and also put some more flour on top of our dough as well as our rolling pin. Now we're going to go ahead and roll the dough out ever so gently. You know, treat it with love. And remember not to roll the dough out too thin. So next up we're going to go ahead and cut circles into the dough. Now how big you cut them is up to you. Everything that I've found was either too big or too small, so I ended up using this, which was the perfect size for what I was looking for. Then we're just going to go ahead and re-roll the dough that's left over and make more. Now it's almost that time. Almost time to go into the oven. So while the oven is preheating, I just go ahead and melt some butter and put it on top. So we're going to go ahead and put these into the oven for around 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Now they're finally out of the oven and they have the kitchen smelling so good. Now I'm just adding more melted butter on top to help with the look as well as the flavor of it. And there you have it, the perfect bulla cake. Guys, it smells so good and it tastes so good, trust me. Now the only problem is what you're gonna eat it with. Some like it with pear, some like it with cheese, some even just have it with butter. But to be honest, it's so good, you really don't need any of them. By itself, it does so good. Look on how it does look inside, soft and the right texture. Come on, man, you have to try this recipe. Alright, so tell me in the comments, what do you eat your bulla with? Pear or cheese? And yes, we call avocado pear in Jamaica. Don't judge us. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.